What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast, season 2, episode 17. Today, we're talking about blended family Christmas, and that's coming up
right now.
Are you a Christian and you are looking to take your faith, your family, and your future to the next level?
Then this is the channel for you.
What is going on? Welcome to today's live episode. If you're on live, if you're not on live, make sure you do us a favor and put hashtag replay. Let us know that you watched it after the live. If you're on here right now, right this second, just stop everything you're doing. Hit that share button.
Oh my God.
We need you to hit the share button. We're trying to get 20 shares on this episode. That's our goal for this episode. It's going to be an awesome episode. Okay, we're talking about stuff that's super relevant. Did you know that 60% of all people have been divorced? I know, it's an unfortunate thing. We actually looked up some other statistics as well that people that have been divorced one time, there's actually 70% of those are at risk of being divorced a second time. So we're going to talk about blended families today, and we feel like we can talk about blended families because we are a blended family.
We've been divorced.
We've been divorced, not the D
Not
word.
us. Like us.
No, not us.
But us with
Yes,
other people.
but other people, right. We've been divorced, and yes, we are Christians, and yes, I know that is really taboo in the Christian community. So, and that's a much deeper conversation, and we want to have those conversations, but today we want to keep it light and fun, and we're going to talk about some of the awesome things that we've been able to incorporate into our family during the Christmas time. But first, I want to talk about the shirt that I have on, okay? So, Christy wears this awesome shirt, right? So she's like, you should wear your gray sweater. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, what about this, striped shirt that you have on in the closet? And I'm like, oh, that one way in the back? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know that thing will fit me. Okay, listen, there's not enough keto diets right now, I think, to make this thing fit me the way that it must have fit me back when I was 25 years old, and I'm 45 now. Okay, this thing is like a full-on medium. That's all I'm saying. It's a little tight, and I'm sweating even already, and we just got started, so that's probably TMI. But
that's because I have 4 Christmas shirts, and I wanted to wear one for all 4 Tuesdays of this month.
Yes.
So, I wore my la 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 one, and then I wore my Red Merry Christmas one, and then I have this one.
Yep.
And then next week, I'm wearing the most fun one because it's the one right before Christmas.
I have a fun one as well I'm wearing next week. So,
yeah.
And it's not a medium, it's a little larger, which is good. Mark Remarks, what's up, buddy? And Sarah Devine, what's up, lady friend?
Yeah.
Glad to see that you guys are on. Hit that share button if you didn't, okay? Because sharing is caring, and this is the caring season, so
This is my favorite time of year.
Get your friends to hit the share button too. Okay, so we're going to talk about blended family Christmas, right? So we have 3 things that we really want to discuss that we've found to be very impactful in a positive way in our family unit as a blended family over the years. So Christy and I have been together. We've been blended for about 10 years now. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you for telling us. I'm posting it right here. Boom and boom. Sarah is a winner so far, okay? You're a winner. You're leading the pack, and I appreciate that. Okay, so blended family Christmas. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with the first thing, and it is think outside the box. Think outside the box.
Yeah, so what stood out to me during this when Josh and I were talking about things that we've done since we've become a blended family, and obviously some of these have changed over time. But and I'm sure if anyone out there is part of a blended family, you understand, like every year we would have to go back and forth with the exes. First, we had to get them aligned, my ex and his ex, as far as what year was going to be the year that the kids spent Christmas Eve with us, spent the night and woke up with us Christmas morning, and what year was their year and all of that. So what we realized after doing this a couple years is we had started doing a scavenger hunt for our kids. It's something that we can probably talk about later as part of the new family traditions. But we started doing a scavenger hunt. And one of the years, the kids had went and spent the night with the exes on Christmas Eve, and we had done their scavenger hunt. And we do it for one gift for each child. And then the next year, it was our year that we wanted them to spend Christmas Eve with us. And it's a lot harder when the kids are in the house to set up the scavenger hunt, do all that. So the next year, we were talking about how easy it is. It's like, oh, the kids are at the other parent's house. It's so much easier for us to get their scavenger hunt set up. And we really started talking about it, and it's like, it makes it more fun for the kids. You know, they get up in the morning with the other parent, do the presents, and then they come over and we can guide them directly to one room, and they're not allowed to leave that room until everybody gets there. Because, you know, my kids might come at 10 and then someone else, his kids might come in at 10:30. So they have one designated room they have to go to and not move. And we were like, you know, is this about us or is this about the kids? So we really told the exes they can spend the night every Christmas Eve with you. And of course they loved that because the kids got to wake up with them every Christmas morning, and it worked out best for us. So we put our pride aside and said what works best for our family and for our kids with the traditions that we do. And that is what worked best. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, we talk, you know, this point we make is think outside the box. And sometimes thinking outside the box means we kind of have to put ourselves to the side a little bit and try and think about like what's best for our family unit. So when you have two people that get together and they have kids with other people, I mean, we can't expect the other people to not care or only want to do what we want to do. Now, we can want that, but that's just not the reality of it, right? So what we try to do is like, okay, well, first off, we need to line it up, right? So we're trying to get our kids every Christmas Eve together, right? So that was already a challenge. And then we were trying to juggle like, okay, the other parents are trying to keep the kids as late as they can on Christmas Eve because, you know, they're not going to get them Christmas morning. And like Christy said, it just became more of a tug of war than it really did became best what's for the kids.
Yeah.
It really just became a lot more of like fighting and arguing and all this unnecessary stuff. And in all reality, we had to sit back, just like Christy said, and say, okay, what can we do in this situation to really make the best experience? And to be honest with you, it really worked out great.
It did.
Yeah, we love it. So, I make up like a prime rib dinner for her and I, on Christmas Eve.
It's a special night for us then.
And it ends up being a really special night for us. Yeah, it's, not very often. Never do we get a home alone without children. There's always children here. Which I'm sure if you're a blended family, you understand that, that can end up happening. So, having time alone with your spouse is key for your marriage. So, understand that thinking outside the box sometimes is really stepping outside the box, very uncomfortably outside the box, but then looking in. And then later you realize like, hey, this really worked out great. Because I really love that we do this.
Yeah. And we've been doing it now. I think it was about probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago. I think it was about 5 years ago that we said, you know what? Like I called my ex, he called his ex, and of course they thought it was awesome for them.
Yeah.
But really we were doing it for us because it just worked out best for us and our family unit. And then they get here around 10 or 10:30 on Christmas morning. We can get up and have our coffee and wait in anticipation for them to get here. And then we have them for the rest of the day. So it does work out really, really well. I was going to go into something else, but that's a different point.
Okay.
I don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead. So, but the point is, having an understanding that you want to think outside the box is literally stepping yourself back out of the picture and saying, wait a minute, how can I humbly, as a Christian, look at the situation, not be a doormat, but try and make it the best possible experience. And you really do have to get creative. We had to get creative. And now, like, safeguarding Christmas Eve night for just her and I is now the challenge. We want to make sure that we don't have any prior engagements, that we don't have anything that we promise or, have anything going on. Like now that's the goal, right? It's because we've set this precedence in our family so much now, and it's really worked out. Look
at
great.
what Mark said.
Yeah. I want to read what Mark said. So let's add it to up here. Exactly the same program my ex and I worked out every Christmas Eve they spent with her. It is best to work out these things for the benefit for the children. It is, Mark. And that sometimes is really, really, really hard because not both sides play fair.
Right.
And that's the reality of it. Not very many you don't see the hallmark blended families. It just doesn't happen that often. So you're going to have that struggle. That struggle is real. We experienced it. I'm sure you've experienced it. It's hard, but we have to really be able to step back and look at it and step outside the box. And I know Sarah said something too.
And we're going to get to that, Sarah.
And we are. Oh, you already read it? I'm going to need more details about the scavenger hunt. Sounds like fun. Sarah, you're going to love it. It is a blast.
We're going to talk about it next.
Our kids are teenagers and above now, and they still want us to do it every year. So it's really awesome. So, okay. So, yeah, let's go right into number 2. Number 2, new family traditions. There you go.
So, some of the new family traditions. So, this was one of my favorite points. This actually was my favorite point that we wanted to talk about because you can make this fun. So, when you're in a different family and then you get divorced or, God forbid, someone dies,
Yeah.
and then they're widowed or a widower and they have to get remarried. But if you are divorced and you already have some traditions that you guys do together, you were doing, and then when you get together, sometimes, like we said on point 1, to think outside the box. Some kids aren't going to take very kindly that you're going to start doing the new traditions that they had with their mommy and daddy, and that you want to do it now with this new person and their kids and stuff. And you do have to think about the kids first and foremost, and you can make it fun. So there's some new family traditions that we came up with. Me personally, and I think him too, when we first got together, our kids didn't have stockings that we had all gotten together. My kids' stockings had stayed with their dad.
Yep.
And his kids didn't have stockings, I don't think.
They didn't come with us. So
No, right. So, they stayed with their mom. So It was fun because we went out and we went with my mom actually, and my mom let them each pick out their own stocking, and we got them embroidered. So we had new stockings, and then we talked about letting them pick out their own wrapping paper. So I'm like, I think it'd be really fun. First off, I hate putting stickers and names on stuff. I don't like it. Okay. So the most efficient, easiest way for me is everyone, and it's fun, everyone gets to pick out their own wrapping paper. So every year, all their presents that are from us, they are all in their own wrapping papers.
Yeah.
And then about 5 years ago now, we decided that we were going to go start chopping down our own live Christmas tree. So that's turned into something fun. Oh, I'm taking all of them. I wanted you to be able to talk about some.
No, that's okay.
Some too. So, and then we also came up with the scavenger hunt we've probably been doing for like 8 years now.
Yeah, about I think it's 8 years.
7 maybe. So that, and the scavenger hunt is the most fun. So the scavenger hunt, we're actually getting to the point now, I don't want to tell our kids this, but on Christmas Eve, we actually start getting mad about it because we're like,
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And now that they're older, it used to be easy. Like you could just do little rhymes and riddles. And when they were young, and it was easy for us to come up with and hard for them to solve.
Yeah.
Now we have to be coming up with like these very, very hard things, or it's not going to be hard enough for them to do. So their first clue is always on their stocking. And he came up one year with putting coordinates in. So they actually had to get their phones out and get their compass out and follow the coordinates through and we have to do this to come up with these clues. Like we have to
do Google Translate one time. We had to put stuff in a different language. Yeah.
So Jordan, his daughter, had to sit down and type in, like we did one in German, one in Spanish, and like figure out what the words. One time we did it to where each of them had a piece, like we ripped it up so it'd form a puzzle, and then each of them, and we didn't tell them that. They had to figure out that I only have a piece of it. We need to work together, and we need to put our pieces together. Another time we had them do minute to win it games.
We did.
And they had to complete within 60 seconds before they even got their next clue. So it's turned into super fun. And we usually do about 3 or 4 clues per kid.
And it leads them to their gift. This one gift is. Yeah, it's always one gift.
We call it their big gift.
We call it their big gift, but it's usually a special gift that they don't necessarily know that they're going to be getting or weren't expecting. Because the older your kids get, the more expensive things get, so they only get a couple things or a few things. So we kind of have to think outside the box, back to number 1, a little bit outside the box for our gifts as well. But
so what else? Wrapping paper, tree, stockings, scavenger hunt. Is there anything else that we've done?
Yeah, I mean, the only other tradition really that we've started was really not involving our children, but was for you and I.
Oh, yeah.
And that was for the dinner of Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
where
great.
I cook a dinner, and I love doing that. That's like one of my love languages is being able to serve my wife with an amazing meal that she appreciates. So that's,
you can tell.
I love whatever. I love doing that. I absolutely love doing it. But something I did want to mention though about new family traditions is when you're blending 2 families together, it's like one parent or the other parent may be like, oh my gosh, we've been doing this for years and I love it, and now I want to bring it into this family unit. The only risky and hard part about that now is that your children that come with you may not want the other family encroaching onto this new tradition. That's why starting brand new traditions is super important. It's really important that you now start off this family unit with something that is specifically theirs. And now they're not all going to buy into it in the beginning, right? Our kids did not want to do the scavenger hunt in the very beginning until they did it. and then they're like, ooh, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. I enjoy this. So it picked up
So
speed
like,
as the years went.
to work for a present.
Yeah, but as years went on, now it's like they are picking different holidays they want us to do this for, other than just Christmas. They're like Easter. Easter sounds like a good time of year for us to do a scavenger hunt. Will you do that for us? So it's really picked up steam.
Yeah, we did it with our Easter. We do it with our Easter baskets.
Yeah.
Now too.
What else did you have?
Well, it technically could be in 3 too, but when him and I got together, his family had to where if kids are like 8 and older or something, that you don't buy presents for them, which I was like that's blasphemy to me. And I was actually kind of offended, and he had to sit down and explain to me that, my family just hasn't done it. So I was like, well, why don't you talk to your family? There needs to be something that everybody can participate in. And my kids were kids. They were 8 and 6 when we got together. They're still kids. Like, they don't understand. And so he presented to his family, like, why don't we do like a white elephant gift exchange in our family? And then that way Christy's kids have something that they can participate in, because it's the first time that they're spending Christmas with our family. And don't get me wrong, the very first Christmas that we all spent together, his family bought my kids something, because he explained to his mom, like, her kids don't understand like why
the way that we do it.
Yeah. So the first year they did. And then after that, we started doing a white elephant gift exchange, and our kids massively got into that. We gave them like a $5 limit back then, because we were so hard up.
It's goofy white elephant. It's not like serious
so like
white elephant.
bag of rock salt or something.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah. So that was fun. And that was a new tradition to get. But that kind of can go into 3 too, because you have to bring the in-laws into that.
Yeah, but the point is that when we're talking about traditions, we're talking about blended families, we're talking about Christmas time, wrapping all this stuff together, you have to create something new, and you do have to get creative, thinking outside the box, get creative, but make it just specifically for your family. It's something they get to look forward to. And it's really made a huge difference for us during our Christmas time.
Yeah.
Christy really looks forward to doing the Christmas paper shopping and the Christmas tree chopping. And the kids aren't 100% bought in and still want to do those things 100%. They're much older now, but it's a tradition.
Oh, yeah.
They accept it. This is what we do, right? But when it comes to part of the scavenger hunt, they're all in on that. So it still works for our family as a cohesive thing.
So that's one reason why I didn't bring up new family traditions. So on something new that we were doing is we'd take the kids each year to Bronner's and let them pick out an ornament.
Yeah.
And that is something that hadn't been being done before. So me and him had started doing that. Well, now his daughter's married and moved out of the house. So I'm left with all boys. Okay. And boys don't get excited about nothing. So I would force them. So the last 2 years, we have forced them to go with us to Bronner's to pick out there. And literally, my oldest, Garrett, literally will walk in, and the very first ornament he sees, he's like, this one. I'm like, you don't
Let's
know.
go.
Fine. So last year was really bad. So you have to think outside the box, like number one, and then also change up your family traditions, not get so married to them because you're part of a blended family and you're so like married to this idea that you don't change it up. So I'm like, well, this year I'm the one that really looks forward to going and picking out a Christmas ornament for everyone. So what I want to start doing now is him and I go, we pick out a Christmas ornament for each of the kids, and then that will go in their stocking. So that we won't be able to put it on the tree till next year, but that can be like a stocking stuffer for them. And that way I get super excited about it and I can still go do what I want to do. And no one's walking around with an attitude because they absolutely hate it. I don't want them growing up and getting married and hating going to Bronner's because I force them to go every year.
Which is true. And that's one way of saying that, you know what? Hey, let's do these things and let's step back from this thing. And I think you have to be willing to kind of play around with that. So let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is, well, 4 Christmases. 4 Christmases. If you haven't seen the movie, it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. So, and that's very, very hard. If you're in a blended family, this is something that Josh and I had to do. It took us a couple years, I would say, to get this to understand, really. We had to learn. We didn't Google like help and stuff for step families, which we should have, I guess. We learned the hard way because we're stubborn and we think we know everything or can figure everything out anyway. But we decided that it took us a couple years to figure out like our family bubble. That's what we started calling it to the kids, is our family bubble. And not everyone is going to understand that. Like I can't expect my grandma and my mom to understand, or my dad to understand, that we have to share. We already don't like having to share our kids, with the ex on holidays and things like that. The last thing that we need is our families, our extended families, my new in-laws, his new in-laws, now trying to be like, well, we're doing Thanksgiving at 2 and they're not going to be there till 3, and mad about it every single year, because it's hard to juggle so many different Thanksgivings of blended families. So we let everybody know in the beginning, this is when we're going to have the kids. We're not going to have them on Christmas Eve. We're going to have them on Christmas Day after 10:30. We host Christmas a lot for Josh's family.
We do.
So it's like our kids come over at 10:30. We're going to have everyone come over for Christmas around like noon or 1, because we want to give our kids time to go and open their presents just as our little bubble.
And do their scavenger hunt.
And everything, and then do it. And we're sorry, but that's what we have to work with that. And you can't expect everybody to understand it. My grandma has been amazing, because we go over her house, which she actually loves, on Christmas Eve day.
Yep.
So we go over her house at like 11 in the morning, and she gets to give all 4 of our kids their presents, and now their significant others their presents, and it's just us with my grandma and my uncle, and she gets to experience it. And then they go to their other parents' house, and we don't see them again till Christmas Day around 10 or 10:30. And it's worked out fine. Then his family normally comes over around 2, and we go from there. I mean, it's hard to do the 4 Christmases. That's why we call it that.
Yeah, because you get the 4 Christmases, right? So you have to go. I mean, we have to go to mine, and then the ex, and then kids are going swapping everywhere, and you're just joggling all this stuff around. And it seems like every year some little detail changes from 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
Which throws off, because you're trying to plan accordingly, because now you have your own family and friends, and you have all this other things that are going on, and it just puts a big, huge wrench in it, right? And someone is always upset. There's no doubt that someone's always upset, because like every year the other family gets to do this, and the other family always gets the kids for this and stuff. And we have to understand that flexibility is really the key to this thing, because we have to make sure that we're focused on the children and not ourselves. Now, we don't have to be a doormat. I mentioned that earlier. We don't have to be a doormat in this whole situation, right? Yeah. So if we feel like the other side's being malicious, that's a different conversation. But no, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's not maliciousness that's going on. There may be a little taken advantage of here and there, but then you have to get a little stern, but you also have to just be flexible. You don't want your kids coming back into a Christmas party when they came back from somewhere, and then everybody's like upset, like, oh, it's about time. And now they feel like it's their responsibility, like it's their fault.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. You just have to understand that being part of a blended family is not like a traditional family. It's not. It's just the reality of it. And you have to make the best of it. And it can be amazing. We've had our bumps, okay, and we've had our scrapes over the years. But as time went on, Christy, like Christy said, though, we've been a little hard-headed about certain things. We've had to learn the hard way. But overall, we're like, okay, flexibility has become a real key thing to this.
It's hard enough. Like, we have to try to make it as fair as possible for us and our ex. When you try to make it fair for everyone else too, like all your in-laws and everything, you can't do that. You're going to stress it out. Yeah. Like, you have to let them know, like, no, this is as fair as we could get it this year for the ex and what they have going on. Because now, like, he has a sister that is part of a blended family. So now she has to take into consideration when she gets her girls, because the girls have to go with their dad. And now we're trying to blend their blendedness with our blendedness. And so we're trying to have the flexibility and understanding when it comes to that too, because we know what it's like to be in that situation. And you're never going to have a perfect scenario when it comes to blended families, but you can make exquisite memories. And as long as you keep the right attitude, the kids, it goes back to that quote that says people don't remember exactly what you said to them, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's what your kids are going to remember. They're not going to remember every single thing that's said or done within your family unit, but they're going to remember how they felt. Every Christmas with your family and your in-laws and your new blended family's in-laws, they're going to remember if it was a stressed out time, if people were fighting. They're not going to remember what was said all the time, but they're going to remember if there was fighting, if people were stressed, if they felt just bad being there, or if it was a happy, like warm, loving time. And that's what you have to remember.
Yeah, it's hard because when our kids come back, we are upset about it. I've been upset 1,000 times over it, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I am tense and I'm upset.
Yeah.
And it's not my kid's fault. It's not my kid's fault. It's not. So we have to be very careful in the way that we do approach this. It is about communication. It really comes down to that. How I communicate with my spouse, how I communicate with my kids, and with everybody else in the family. And sometimes you hit a roadblock. And then you have to say, okay, just have to learn that this is just the way that it is. Let the words be said, and then request that, hey, you can say whatever it is that you want to say, but when the kids get here, I want all this gone.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not their fault, and we're not going to lay that on them. And that's a hard thing in a blended family, but it's possible. Listen, if our ugly messiness of a life, when it came into blendedness, because we have no idea what we were doing, we had zero idea what we were doing, okay? And if we can figure it out and God can really, put a spotlight on some awesome moments in our past, it can happen for anybody. It really can. But it takes a lot of humility, and it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of communication and a lot of love. And that's maybe sometimes in love in areas that you don't want to love. But our benefit is we have children that do still love Christmas and the holiday, and the season. We look forward to it. We're not scared of it or worried about it anymore.
No, and it used to. We had to sit back as a couple and decide what was the path of least resistance for our kids and for us. And on the years that it was our night that the kids spent Christmas Eve with us, it was like the other parents really, and we were like that too, but they really wanted them on Christmas morning. Everybody does, right? So it's like our kids would just wake up at like 8 or 8:30 in the morning, and the other parent would want to be coming over and getting them. And we didn't play that way. Like we knew that and we live a different lifestyle than them, and we have Jesus and the Holy Spirit to convict us and all of that. So wanting to make us better people. So when it was their year that they spent Christmas Eve with the other parent, we knew that they would be back around 10 or 10:30, even when they were young. And we would like to see their faces first thing in the morning, but we're stressed out on the Christmas Eve that they spent with us because the other parent's just showing up just to get them. And then we're mad about it because what was the path of least resistance? Like, did we care that much about Christmas Eve when we got them Christmas Eve morning? Go to let them come back over at 10:30 and we get them for the rest of the day. Yeah. Is it that big of deal to us to make it to where the kids are stressed out for every Christmas morning? No. It wasn't. And now we got a night to ourselves every year where he makes us an amazing meal. We can do their scavenger hunt lovingly. It's a bunch of love that we're pouring into it. We have free reign of the whole house. So we can use the whole house for the scavenger hunt. Yep. And then we get up in the morning, we're relaxed, and we can have our cup of coffee. We can talk with one another, have good conversation, and then wait for the kids to get here.
Yeah, so we were at Bronner's, right? The biggest Christmas store in the entire world. That's what it claims. I believe it to be true. The place is huge.
I love it.
Yeah, so we were there this last weekend, and Christy found an ornament, and I almost got teary-eyed on it. And she posted it on Facebook. I don't know if anybody saw it, but it's got a heart, and it's got like patches on the heart, and it says,
like it's sewn together.
Yeah, like it's sewn together. Thank you. And it says blended and blessed, and that's just means so much because you already are hard enough on yourself because, and I'm going to get emotional, because, you already screwed up once, right? You're divorced and now you're remarried and, you already have the guilt and the shame that's already climbs on top of you. And now Christmas comes around and it's like, you want to make it perfect, but you want it fair and you want all this stuff. Yeah. And it's like, we just got to take a deep breath sometimes and say, you know what, God wants this to work great, and he wants to empower us as parents, but he needs us to do the work. And sometimes that's us just stepping back and doing the right thing. Sometimes the hard thing, but doing the right thing, thinking outside the box, right? Doing the right things when it comes to that, being creative, creating new traditions with your new family. This is a family that God wants to bless and that you can honor him with. And then, making sure that the 4 Christmases are done the right way and they're done with flexibility. So, and that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. So, before we end this, we want to make sure that we drop you guys with some form of a challenge because we think it's important to be challenged and to challenge others. But, when it comes down to Christmas and blended families, if you have a blended family and you have something to offer anybody that's been watching this, please drop it down in the chat. Let us know what has been working for you. Give somebody that's watched us some type of inspiration down in the chat and let us know, like, hey, we've done this and this has really been really effective in our family, because we can only tell you what we know, because we only know what we know. So,
and what's worked for us.
Yeah, and what's worked for us. So I want to bring a challenge today. So it says, how are you blending? And I think there's a lot of power in asking if we're willing to be, kind of introspective with that. How are you blending? How are you really blending? Are you doing and stepping up as a Christian and using your Christian values and character and integrity in the way that you're blending your family, or are you not? And I think that's a good challenge.
It is a very good challenge, because in the beginning, him and I, this isn't the one to do it because this is a Christmas episode. But in the beginning, him and I weren't really. We were so focused on just figuring out how to make us work and how to blend the family that a lot of times when the exes screwed up, sometimes on purpose, the perfect plans that we had put together to make things perfect for our kids, we got really mad about it. Yeah. And then our kids had to witness that. And we just didn't have a good testimony in the beginning. There was a lot of hurt feelings going around and probably unnecessary stress added to our kids, because we would get so upset about it because our exes did not play fair. And it was really, really hard in the beginning until we let our pride go and we really just said, what's going to work best for the kids, and still make it somewhat fair for us, to we're not losing out and just being a doormat, like Josh said. Yeah. And a lot of times some battles just aren't worth fighting. Christmas Eve, it's just not worth fighting over. It just isn't.
It's not. And we have to trust God in the process.
Yes.
We talk about on this podcast about taking your faith, your family, and your future to the next level. And, if you're really willing to trust in God through the process and doing the right things, like, he will show up. He always does. He always does. So, make sure that you do that, and challenge you. If you have a blended family, how are you blending? How are you blending during the Christmas time? Are you being selfish? Are you looking at just yourself only, or, are you doing what's best for your children? What do you got going on here with this guy?
Can't see my gnome.
Oh,
I just realized it. He's my Christmas gnome.
No one knows he's there.
You can see my moose.
Yeah. Moose. Hey, that's all we got for you guys today. We want to thank you so much for being here. Please do not forget to share and like and follow and all that good fun stuff for us, please.
And we want to hear pointers, for what you guys,
us.
For the blended families.
Give them to us, yes.
Everything. Our kids one's married and out of the house. And then we have one that's 19 and then another one that's 18 and another one that's 16. So,
so we're more towards the tail end, and we're going to have to start working through the whole blended family as adult children and their families and all of that stuff. So if you got any tips on that stuff, please let us know. I mean, we need the help.
Because then they have to split up their time between us and their significant others, but then also their mom, dad. I mean,
it's uncharted territory for us. So if you found any value, please don't forget to hit the share button. We thank you guys for being here. We'll be here next Tuesday at 7
with fun shirts on,
with awesome Christmas sweaters. See you guys then.
Bye.
Bye.